I'm introducing my 2023 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170. I recently took delivery of it and I spec'd it in purple, as you can see, with the red leather interior, red seat belts, and matte treatment on the hood, roof, and trunk. Thankfully, I was also able to add the carbon fiber wheels and, get ready because this is going to get a certain amount of you all wound up, I added the sunroof too. You know, I don't even really like sunroofs and I never use them. But what I wanted was a Demon with every option it could possibly have. I actually spec'd this thing out and I realized it's the most expensive way you could get a Demon short of the Sublime green color. That color was a couple $100 more than the Plum Crazy, and that's the only thing that would have made it more expensive. And I actually considered Sublime. It's one of my favorite colors, but it doesn't photograph as well, and purple with red interior is maybe a little audacious, but Sublime with red interior, I've got a real appetite for brash colored specialized cars like this, but that would have gone even beyond my limits. Green and red, that'd have been too much. If you're an enthusiast or muscle car fan, you probably already know the story behind the Demon 170, but we'll hit the high points real quick here. 3,300 made, 3,000 for the US, 300 for Canada. Every one of them came with a 6.2 liter supercharged Hemi V8 engine. Starts with 900 horsepower on premium, and it goes up to 1,025 horsepower if you have E85, which is code for ethanol, 85% ethanol, which you can get at local gas stations. I have a app that helps me find them, and there's plenty around here, which is fabulous. Dodge has certified the Demon 170 as being capable of hitting 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds and clearing the quarter mile in 8.91 seconds at about 150 miles per hour. Of course, those figures were all generated on a super sticky surface at a prepped drag strip, and it was a one-seat Dodge Demon 170. It didn't have a passenger seat or rear seat or any other options, where you could order the car that way too, and some people did. This car, as you know, is the opposite. It's got every single option, including the sunroof, so it weighs more, so those figures would be hard to hit. But honestly, that's another reason I ordered it this way, because if I can actually get anywhere below 9 second the way it's spec'd, that would be very cool, and I might just try to do that. Maybe even more exciting than the numbers this car can hit is what it does when it hits those numbers at a drag strip, which is to launch the front wheels substantially off the ground and hold them up there for a good chunk of time as it goes down the quarter mile. There's a gentleman who's a key part of the Dodge Demon community, Ron Silva. He's done exactly that with his car, getting the front wheels well off the ground during his launches, both with the 2018 Demon and even more extreme with the 2023 Demon 170. Whether you want to talk about the horsepower it makes, the fact it can do that running on E85, the look, the name, the potential acceleration figures it's capable of, or maybe the fact that it was the last Dodge Challenger with a big supercharged V8 and these kind of vehicles are vanishing, I'm going to make the argument that this is the coolest muscle car ever made. I would say this one basically sits at the top of the heap. And this comes from a guy who owned multiple original Challengers and a 2018 Dodge Demon. I've had over a dozen muscle cars, and I know the classic muscle car story very well, but I still think this is probably the coolest one ever made. As someone whose original automotive enthusiasm was ignited by muscle cars, specifically a 1969 Plymouth GTX 444 speed that I had before I had my driver's license, the Dodge Demon was a no-brainer. When I saw and heard and knew what it was capable of, I had to get one. I've driven the car about 700 miles, mostly babying it for the break-in process. And I also have already swapped out the carbon fiber wheels with the drag radial tires. I put on these standard wheels with standard performance tires because I want the carbon fiber wheels protected both from damage and potential theft. And I want myself and the car protected from rain with drag radials because those don't go together well. I also disabled the key fob programming process because we've all heard the stories about these cars being stolen because these key fobs are so easy to program. So you can't do that on this car anymore, and the dealer does offer that for free on the Dodge Demon, I think on most of the Challengers, but certainly there was a TSB for this. Now both the key fob programming issue and the wheel tire swap was done because I plan on driving this car. It will not be sitting in a garage. It will be utilized, and maybe not as a daily driver, but it will be driven on a regular basis, and I want to enjoy it long before I ever take it to the track. I do plan to take it to the track at some point, but I'm not rushing to do that right now. I'm having plenty of fun on public roads, and the truth is, I already got a 9-second quarter mile out of my 2018 Dodge Demon.
Yeah! $9.99.
That was incredibly fun, but I've already hit that number. I'll probably get this to the track at some point and see if I can hit at least a low 9. I'm not really set on hitting the numbers that we're all supposed to hit on these cars. Obviously, I wouldn't have ordered it the way I did if I was. I'd rather have the car be one of the coolest cars ever and one of the nicest cars to drive around on the street, knowing that it's also a dying breed, the last of its kind, and in this case, equipped exactly the way I wanted it, not necessarily the way you're supposed to get it done for maximum power and maximum acceleration. Look for future updates on the ownership experience in this car. I've already got the next one set up. We're going to talk a little more about the wheel tire swap, exactly which wheels and tires I went with and why. And then we're going to talk about all the extras this car comes with. You get a whole bunch of things through the Dodge Concierge if you buy a Dodge Demon 170. I've ordered mine and most of them have come in. I'll have some videos where I'll be unboxing those and taking a closer look at all the cool things that come with your Demon 170.